All right. This video is going to make sure you understand why you may want to fire your financial advisor, or if you're being solicited, if someone's soliciting your business, if they're telling you, yeah, you should work with me because I'm going to get you a higher rate of return, and it's only a 1% assets under management fee. It's not a big deal. You're going to want to stick around to watch this and see just how much of their money they're taking. Just how much of your money they're taking from you, and why having this type of business partnership or working with someone that charges an assets under management fee could be, it could actually destroy your prosperity. Okay. So you're going to want to stick around. So this information is coming from someone who I worked in the financial services industry. I started as a life insurance agent. Then I got my Series 6 to be a mutual fund and exchange traded fund broker. Series 63. I got the Series 7 to call myself a stockbroker. And I said call myself because it's not like these tests actually allow you to, it's not like they teach you how to do the qualitative and quantitative analysis, the fundamental analysis necessary to actually make the right stock picks. They're mostly just teaching you how to sell stocks. Okay. They're teaching you how to speak the language of finance to the point where someone will think that you know what the fuck you're doing when really you know. What we have to understand is we'll start here. Let's start here. So you have the client, or you have the advisor, and then you have the portfolio managers. Okay. Now the portfolio managers, they're the one that are actually investing your money. Okay. The advisor is just acting as a middleman between you and the portfolio managers. And the advisors a lot of times charge a fee, an assets under management or AUM fee of 1% to 2%. The guys that I've worked with, like the most morally sound individuals that I was working with, would charge 0.5%, which is still, unnecessary. Um, what we have to understand is that these advisors, they may know how to speak the language of finance. That doesn't mean they know how to actually manage your portfolio in a way that will maximize your returns and minimize your risk. They're just the middleman. They're just the middleman. That's why they get these licenses. Like me, I got the Series 7, I got the Series 6 to 66 to call myself a registered investment advisor and licensed fiduciary. But at the end of the day, most of my training that I received was in sales. Most of my training was to show you how to speak the language of finance, but also understand the psychology of people to get them to essentially be afraid to manage their own money so that you manage it for them. You're creating a dependent relationship. You're creating a dependent relationship. So that's the first thing I want you to understand. The advisor, they may make it seem like they're the ones making the investment decisions and they're the ones that they're earning their fee because they're getting you a higher rate of return than you would get by doing it yourself. And you don't want to have to come home from your job and do all this research and analysis to make the right investment decisions. Let the professionals do it for you. But they're not doing all this research and analysis. They're sending your money to a portfolio manager. Sometimes it's not even a person. Sometimes it's a computer algorithm that is making the investment decisions. And nowadays we're seeing, especially with the index funds, the computer algorithms are doing better than the people. Like you have actively managed funds versus index funds. So let's talk about that a little bit. So now that you understand the advisor's not investing your money for you, they're not making decisions based off of what's going on in the market. They just know how to speak the language of finance to enough to make you think they're smarter than you so that you give them their money. They're just the person holding your money in an account other people or a computer algorithm is actually managing your money. You have actively managed funds, and then you have index funds. Now, an index fund will just track an index like the S&P 500. There's usually very low fees. For example, if you look at Vanguard's S&P 500 index fund, the fee is 0.01% for the fee. So pretty much nothing. Whereas over here, it's a person that's managing, like you have the portfolio manager, right? They're actually, managing the fund. They might have a team of people managing the fund. And because of that, there's higher fees, right? There's higher fees because they say, oh, the index, you don't have any downside protection. This is something you might hear them say. The downside is you want to protect yourself on the downside, and that's what we do. So while the index might get a higher rate of return on the upside, we're making sure that we protect you on the downside, and we have that active management. There are other ways to protect yourself on the downside where you don't have to pay these high fees, because the actively managed fund will have a fee inside of it of 0.5%, which is much higher than 0.01, obviously, but it could go up to like 2% of all the fees that are inside of the fund. That's not including the assets under management fee that your advisor might be charging you, that's typically 1%, that could go up to 2% as well. So over here, you could be working with an advisor who's charging you a 1% fee, who's putting you into a high fee fund, charging you another 1 to 2%. So now both of these things, now you have double the compound interest erosion, essentially. Okay, they're just taking your compound interest. So let's put some numbers behind this. Let me share my screen with you here. I'm so passionate about this, yo, because it's like people think I'm crazy for charging $2, $3, $5, even $10,000 to work with me. But then when I show them the numbers of like, yeah, you could pay me $10,000 now and never pay me again, or you could pay them $2,000, $3,000, and then they're taking all this money from you long term, and I'll show you how much they're taking from you. Okay. So the average rate of return over any 20-year period in the market is like 8%. So let's look at this compounded. Let's say you start with $5,000 as an initial deposit. Let's say you're young, right? Maybe you're 30 years old. You're going to retire around 60, so you're going to invest for the next 30 years. Let's say you're contributing $500 a month. And let's say you got an 8% rate of return over that 30 years, but your advisor siphoned off 1%. So you only got 7%, right? So let me write these numbers down here so that I don't forget and I don't have to keep going back. So let's talk about with the fee of 1%, $5,000 initial investment, $500 a month, 8% rate of return. But if you minus the 1% fee, what you get is $650,000, all right, over those 30 years. $650,000. Now let's see what it would be if you didn't pay the fee and you actually got the full 8%. 799, pretty much $800,000. So what that means is that your financial advisor over that 30 years took $150,000 of your money. People fret about paying a couple $1,000s on the front end to learn how to manage their own money, but they don't realize how much it's costing them to not learn how to manage their own money. Okay. And this is just at 8%. Let's say the market did 16% over that 30-year time frame. Like had a really solid fund that did even better than the average of the market, and you got 16%, but because they siphoned off the fee, you only got 15. If it was a 15% rate of return, you would have $3.9 million over that 30 years. But if they didn't charge you that 1% and you got 16% rate of return, you would have $4.9 million. So we're talking about that advisor taking $1 million of your money over that 30 years, and they're not really doing anything to earn it. The financial advisor is just holding your money in account, and other people are actually doing the investing. You can go directly to the portfolio managers and invest your money directly with them without having a middleman. And now you just made yourself $1 million of extra compound interest based off of not paying a 1% fee. Okay. We have to understand just how much of our money they're taking from us. And of course, if they were the ones that were doing the actual investing, yeah, it might make sense to pay them the fee. They're the ones investing our money, but they're not the ones investing the money, guys. They're just the middleman between you and portfolio managers. Okay. So we understand this. If it's just an 8% rate of return, they would have taken 150,000. If it was a 15%, 16 rate of return, they would have taken $1 million from you over that 30 years because they're taking your compound interest. And then if the market crashes, they're still taking that 1%. They're still siphoning off 1% of your assets. It's not like they're saying, oh, we only win when you win. No, when the market crashes, what they're going to do is sit down with you and they're going to say, oh, that's just what the market does. It goes up and it goes down. So don't make any rash decisions. Let me show you these statistics about people who took their money out when the market was down. You don't want to lock in your losses. This is actually the worst time to take your money out of the market. Actually, you should put more money in because the market's going to go. Give me more of your money, actually. This is a great time for you to give me more of your money. And they're going to sell you on giving them more of your money when not only did they lose you money, they still siphoned off 1% of their fee and lost you more money based off of the fee. So it's not like the advisor is doing all this great research and analysis to actually make sure let's pull out of the market because we know the market's no, the market crashed, and then they're sitting down with you and they're just saying, that's just the nature of the market. You got to be they're just holding your hand through you losing a bunch of money and saying, you'll get it back, don't worry. Is that really worth 150,000 to $1 million over 30 years? I don't think so. Right? So next, we have to understand a couple of things. There are 3 areas of human mastery. There's health, there's wealth. Where did that one go? Okay. I'll put wealth down here. And there's relationships. Okay. So when I think about health, who helps you with your health? You got your dietitians, you got maybe your fitness trainer, right? A fitness trainer, a dietitian is going to teach you how to take care of your own health. A fitness trainer cannot and will not take care of your health for you. They're empowering you and teaching you how to take care of your own health. They're in the gym with you, showing you how to do the workouts. They're saying that you're doing your food log and they're showing you how to track your own macros, how to track your own calories. They're empowering you to take full control of this area of human mastery, your health. Then you have the other side of the industry, like certain doctors, certain physicians who are very highly incentivized to make sure you are dependent on drugs. right? So you've got like the pharmaceutical industry, you got big pharma, right? And big pharma equals disempowerment. Disempowerment, because they're saying, "Oh no, your body isn't, set up by divine design with the ability to heal itself. No, 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 your body's fucked up. So you need to be on these drugs." And there's a section of the health industry that makes a tremendous amount of money because they disempower people. They say, no, you don't want to do natural. No, you don't want to take care of this yourself and really learn how to take care of your own health. No, you just want to take these drugs and be on these drugs for the rest of your life. Why? Because it makes them money. Big Pharma. We all know Big Pharma is some bullshit. Okay. We all know that it's ridiculous that they've withheld cures for cancer and shit like that, cures for these chronic illnesses. Because it's not financially good for them to actually empower people like fitness trainers do to take care of their own health, right? Like a fitness trainer, they might charge you $3,000 to work with them for 3 months. In those 3 months, they're going to go hard, teach you everything you need to do. After that, it's not a dependent relationship. It's, you got it, bro. You got it. You take care of it. Yeah, you got it. Right? Relationships. What do I think about, like a marriage counselor? A marriage counselor, right? What are they doing? They're teaching you how to take care of your own relationship, how to heal your own relationship. They're not going to take care of your relationship for you. They can't. If you were to go to to a marriage counselor and say, listen, this marriage thing, I'm not good at it. It's too complicated. It's too difficult. There's too much to learn. You just take care of my marriage for me. Just, you take care of the relationship between me and my spouse for me. How do you think that's going to go? Nope, it's not going to go very well. They're empowering you to take care of your own relationship. They're empowering you to take full control and responsibility for this area of human mastery, relationships. But then you have certain folks like the traditional therapy model. And the traditional therapy model equals disempowerment because there's an hourly fee. And if a therapist is getting paid hourly, if they're getting paid for their time instead of for the results that they're bringing you in your life, they now have a high incentive to make sure you spend as much time with them as possible. They are actually incentivized to create a dependent relationship with you because now when they have all these clients and they don't have to get new clients, it's easier for them. They can make their money because they're getting paid for their time. But if they were paid for a result, if they said, listen, if you work with me, you will no longer be depressed. This is what I do. I help people empower themselves and step out of depression. This is the result you're going to get. They would now be incentivized to get you that result in as little time as possible. So the traditional pharma, disempowerment. The traditional therapy, disempowerment. But if you're working with a fitness trainer or if you're working with a marriage counselor who you pay the fee and you say, you're going to help me come to this decision. By the end of our time, I'm going to have absolute clarity as to, yes, I want to stay with this person and here's what I need to do, what we need to do to make this happen, or no, divorce is the way to go. And thank you for getting me to this clarity that I know this isn't the relationship for me. They're getting you a result. But traditional therapy is disempowering you because they're creating a dependent relationship and they have an incentive to create that dependent relationship based off of how they're getting paid. And then you have the wealth industry. I think about me like a financial coach. Okay. What I do is I say, hey, pay me this one-time fee. We're going to work together and I'm going to teach you how to fish. I'm going to teach you how to manage your own money. I'm going to empower you to develop a strong relationship between you and your money. But then you have the traditional financial advisors with their assets under management fees. Okay. And what they're doing is saying that's also disempowerment because what they're saying is you're not smart enough to manage your own money. You don't need to master this area of human mastery wealth. No, 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 no. Let me do it for you because you're not smart enough. You don't have enough time. They're perpetuating the limiting beliefs that you've already been programmed with throughout your life. And this is the reason that we are programmed to believe money is bad, money is complicated. And on one side, your net worth is your self-worth. And if you don't have a lot of money, you should feel bad about yourself. And on the other side, money is bad. Rich people are greedy. Rich people are selfish. All that shit. So now they've conditioned you to have a terrible relationship with money because on one side, your net worth is your self-worth. On the other side, rich people is bad and money is the root of all evil. And because we've been programmed to believe that money is hard, we've been programmed to be disempowered, they set up the system to continue perpetuating that same lack, scarcity, disempowering mindset and get you to believe that you can't do it yourself. But I can spend an hour with you, teach you some really basic things, and you fully understanding those really basic things like how to analyze a mutual fund or an exchange traded fund, what the fuck a mutual fund or exchange traded fund even is, you empowering yourself with that information will save you 100 to 1 million, 100,000 to over $1 million in assets under management fees and extra fees through high fee mutual funds. You're going to save yourself so much money on these fees when you fully understand that, hey, this is an area of human mastery that I need to empower myself and master this area myself and not tell somebody, oh yeah, you take care of the relationship between me and my money. Nope. Another thing that's so we get this, right? 3 areas of human mastery. And in each area, there's one that is the traditional way of doing things that we're programmed to think this is the way to do it, but it's leading to disempowerment, right? Like the traditional therapy, the traditional financial advisor, the traditional, pharmaceutical industry. But in each one, there are people out there that are going to help you master that yourself and empower yourself to take care of your own health, to take care of your own relationships with your people, and to take care of your own relationship with money, right? Now, I just want to share a couple stories with you to let you know, just give you some examples, okay? So far, why you should fire your financial advisor. Why you should fire your financial advisor? One, we know it's high fees, high unnecessary fees. 2, disempowerment / dependence on them. They're creating a dependent relationship. 3, bad incentives for the advisor. The advisor is incentivized to keep you disempowered. The advisor is incentivized to make sure that you do not use your money. they're incentivized to make sure you don't use your money. So what's going to happen is you might see a good investment idea. You might want to start your business and have a like you finally got clarity as to the business that would really light you up and make you feel fulfilled. And this is a story that like this actually happened, and it blew my mind. Okay, so one of my clients, I brought them into one of these senior advisors that they've been doing this for over a decade, maybe 20 years, and they're so knowledgeable and they've helped so many people, and they have this idea that they're the expert in finance. So I had them come in and speak with them, and the person, one of my clients, is saying, I really have this business idea and I want to go all in on it. I know it's going to be good. I know it's going to fulfill me. It's what I feel I'm like really passionate about. Let me get this because I'm going over bad incentives, right? Kind of distracting in the background here. So they're saying, "Oh yeah, I really want to start this business, but I got to pay the bills. Of course, I'm working this 9 to 5. That I hate this fucking job. I wish I could just quit and go after my biggest goals and dreams. But I got to pay the bill." And this is something I heard over and over again. Sat down with hundreds of people as I worked in financial services. Everybody was in a place of, I wish I could do something that really lit me up. Not everybody. There are some people. Some people liked their jobs. Some people enjoyed what they were doing in their 9 to 5. But the majority of people were like, I wish I could be a business owner, really want to be an entrepreneur. These are the types of people that I attracted into my space. This advisor said straight up, yeah, I get it. But, look at your pension at your job. If you just stay here for another 10 or 20 years, look how great this pension is. Like when you have this pension and, you've got that steady income coming in, maybe then you have some flexibility to start a business or whatever it is. But, if I were you, I would just stick it out. Continue getting that steady income, but just stick it out. Because after that 10 or 20, I can't remember if it was 10 years or 20 years. It was just some law. It was between 10 and 20 years that they would have to stay to get this pension. So, I would just stick it out, get that pension and life will be good then. And I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? You are straight up telling this person, no. Don't go after your biggest goals and dreams. No, just stay stuck in this financial matrix that keeps you disempowered. Just keep doing something that doesn't light you up, that doesn't light your soul on fire, that doesn't make you feel fulfilled. Just keep waking up and commuting to some job that you fucking hate for the next 20 years, just 20 years, 10 to 20 years of your life, of your one life, now so you can get that pension. And life will be good in 10 or 20 years. I was like, are you serious right now? And that was one of the stories that really inspired me to say, I cannot work in this industry that incentivizes me to disempower people. Because why did he want them to not go after their biggest goals and dreams? Why did he want them to not quit their 9 to 5 and go and start their business? Why? Because their 9 to 5 was bringing in steady income. And in order to fund the financial vehicles that would make us a commission and make us recurring income, they had to make sure that this person had that steady income so that they could keep paying in these financial vehicles that made us money. So we, as the advisors, had an incentive to get this person to no, don't take a risk and go after your biggest goals and dreams. Just stay in this comfort zone, work your job, get that steady income. Why? So that we can get the steady income from you paying into these financial vehicles. They're incentivized to keep you in the rat race. They're incentivized to keep you stuck in the fucking matrix. And I cannot allow myself to make money by charging somebody an assets under management fee when I know that now I'm incentivized to, when they have a great business idea or an investment idea, or their friend is starting a business and they want to support them, and they say, oh, I want to take some money out of my investment account. Now, me knowing that I'm going to lose money if they take money out of that account, now I have a huge incentive to say, oh, bad idea. You're going to want to keep your money in this account for as long as possible. I have an incentive to get as much of their money as possible, to keep their money for as long as possible, and to give them back as little of their money as possible. That's how I'm incentivized because I make money based off of how much of their money that I hold. It's so disempowering, y'all. So we've got to understand this. We've got to empower ourselves and recognize that these three areas of human mastery, I have to take full responsibility for this and not relinquish this to someone else. I have to know how to do something myself before I want to delegate it to someone else. Because if you're delegating something that you don't know how to do yourself, you also don't know how to measure whether that person is doing a good job or not. That's why so many of my clients fire their financial advisors because now they work with me, they understand what's going on, and then they see, oh, hold on, the S&P 500 got a 15% rate of return, but my advisor got me in this fund and it only got a 10% rate of return. Hold on, this S&P 500 index fund has a 0.01% charge on it. And my advisor, not only is he charging me 1%, he also has me in a high fee fund that's charging me another 1%. So now they're taking 2% of my compound interest. And I'm getting a lower rate of return. So I'm getting charged money to get a lower rate of return when I could get pretty much no fee and get a higher rate of return. My clients end up firing their financial advisors because they understand what the advisor is doing and that they're just a middleman, and they just cut out the middleman and go do it themselves. Save themselves a tremendous amount of money. So I pray this added value. I pray this helps you to believe that you can do it yourself, that you don't need to disempower yourself by working with some advisor that's going to essentially be incentivized to keep you financially illiterate. You can empower yourself, become truly financially literate, master that area of human mastery of wealth, and create true financial freedom and abundance and generational wealth for you and your family. You can do it. You can do it. Just a little bit of financial education and you save yourself a tremendous amount of money. So I pray this added value. Hit me up if you want some support. Like, this is what I do every single day. So feel free to you could check me out on Instagram. You could throw a comment on here and I'll reach out and we could get something on the schedule. I would love to see if I can support you. This is what I do. This is my passion and my purpose. Okay. So let me know if you want to connect. But again, I love you guys. I pray this message added value and I'm excited for the next message.